Can it be trained? Can we improve it? So we have to understand certain attitudes at ego level, intellect level, and at mind level. Our shastras, they say, chit, meaning consciousness, has three major components. Besides, there can be so many variations or subparts, but three are fundamental. Number one is manas, meaning the mind. Number two is buddhi, intellect. And third component of chit, or the third component of consciousness, is ahankar or ego. When my consciousness changes, because these three things are also changing. When my mind changes, when my mind evolves, transforms, when my intellect transforms, and when my ego gets transformed, what does it become as it continues to get transformed? So let's understand what becomes of the mind, or what becomes of the function of the mind as a result of evolution. I'll give you a small example. When we meditate, we begin with a thought, which is a function of the mind. I think on the presence of the divinity within my heart. So it's just a thought. But as I begin to feel the divinity in my heart, can you say that function of my mind is no longer thinking, but now I'm able to feel? So as an evolution of thinking process, it has now entered into a state of feeling or experience. You know, often we have problems in day-to-day life, especially in the office or in the business world. And we carry this problem day after day, day after day, day after day. Your mother would ask, what is wrong with you? Or your wife may ask, or your sister may ask, you don't look the same. Something is troubling you. Okay. After 2, 3 months of rigmarole, as they say, then you open up and say, oh, honey, or my dear mother, I'm going through these problems. I have this major crisis. 9 out of 10 times of such problems, even before you finish describing your problems, your mother or your wife would come up with a solution. How do they do that? For which you had been breaking your head, thinking, 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 thinking. So now, but your mother or your wife instantly comes up with a solution before you even finish your problems. So what sense, what level of consciousness are they using? What are they feeling? Are they bypassing thinking apparatus and jumping straight to the heart, to Hridayam, and say, okay, I feel this, and this is a probable solution? They have a lot of ideas, a lot of intuition is there, which is heart-based, but confidence is lacking in sisters or wives or mothers. They give you a most appropriate solutions. What they lack is confidence. But whether they lack it or not, when we hear their side of the version and you say, wow, how come I didn't think like this? You can't think, you can only feel it. So what it means that manas, as it evolves, the function of the manas, which is thinking, changes into a function of the heart, which is to feel. to intuit, which to some extent is also mixed up with buddhi or intellect. When we think of buddhi, now what becomes of buddhi as we evolve? Going back to the first aspect of thinking, to feeling. So this is one way of helping our mind evolve, meaning manas evolve, so that my consciousness can also evolve. So meditation is one of the means through which mind can evolve. Okay. Buddhi, intellect. What becomes of intellect as it evolves? What is the difference between intellect and intelligence? And what becomes of intelligence later? Intellect is individual, intelligence is universal, existential. When I was giving you the example of Loki or the ridge gourd or Karela or bitter gourd, and they have those tendrils, as soon as something that can support it comes in their way, it feels it and just hooks on that. That is intelligence, existential, universal. When we meditate, somehow we are able to contemplate in many different directions, and you are able to see various possibilities. Just as this tendril is going around, you should watch slow speed movies on how Loki or Karela or Kumbar, their tendrils hooks on. They go around, you see. And then once they find something, it just, with the wind, it just hooks onto it. Our mind also, it scans. This scanning activity is intellectual activity. See, you are scanning everything. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are scanning things. And as our intelligence merges with the intelligence which is universal, through meditation, we are able to intuitively perceive things. Our experiences also, they become very handy. As we age, our intellect, intelligence, intuition also skyrockets. As a result, we become wiser. So that's why the difference between an experienced and unexperienced person, where consciousness expansion as a result of improved intelligence or improved wisdom come to play. So here again, scanning the mind, scanning various possibilities, various scenarios when you're meditating. For example, when I had to open a drugstore in pharmacy in New York City, okay, you have scanned the location. This is between Broadway and Flushing. Good. It's a great location, nice highways, lot of pedestrians, but there is another smaller location in front of a hospital. What would you choose? It's very simple. Choose something which is in front of a hospital. Sometimes you meditate. Often you don't even need to meditate. Just straight away come to a conclusion. This is it. But then you'll have more prescription business there and less cash business there. So you have to weigh out so many other things. What are you interested in? When you meditate on a project, your mind scans, your intelligence get awakened and say, okay, I'm seeing various possibilities. So meditation is not only for God realization, it's also there to make our life richer, more informative, more enriched in understanding so many possibilities to just one thing. Third is ego. What becomes of ego? as it evolves. See, we're going to talk about ego. See, my Guruji, he used to say that if you're a doctor and say, I'm a doctor, there is no ego in it. See. But person like Uma, who is not a doctor, and so, oh, I'm Dr. Uma Mullapudi and all that, see, that is quite egoistic thing, representing what you are not, falsity. And falsity comes into play because you feel somewhere, I'm not so good. So you try to make it up by boosting your ego and by lying all about it. See. So when you mention that, oh, I am so and so, there is no ego, and it's a matter of fact as it is. When you are performing your duty as a doctor and say, oh, I have done this operation, I have saved so many patients, I have cured so many patients, which is also a fact. But I am the best. There is no one better than me in entire Dayton. Then you're blowing your own trumpets, isn't it? And that's what we call arrogance. Arrogance is also another face of ego. So one is where you represent, oh, I am so and so. There is nothing wrong with it. Another is you are not that and you represent that I am so and so. That's a problem. Third scenario is, oh, I am the best. There is nobody better than me. That is blatant ego, arrogance. But there is another face to it that, of course, I did so many surgeries, I did save so many people, I cured so many people from their agonies and pain, but I can do still a lot better. I would like to improve upon myself and excel in my profession. That shows humility, that I can become better. Humility is also another side, face of ego. And this sort of ego helps us evolve better versus a person who makes up his mind saying there is nothing, no one is better than me. Then you're not going to change, you're not going to improve. So our consciousness also plays a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful role. It gets affected once I become very egoistic, meaning very arrogant. My consciousness also becomes like a narrow band. And as my generosity in accommodating more people also kicks in, and I accommodate more and more people in my equations and try to become better and better human being, then too my consciousness will adopt a broader, or what we might like to call it as a broadband consciousness. And today we are understanding so well that what is difference between 5G and 1G. 5G is a broader level of consciousness versus 1G. And all these things, are possible because of meditation.